Shalom, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Hakodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. And I wanted to do a response to a statement made in this video uploaded by the Elder Apostle Tahar. What is the 666 Mark II GMS Truth? Subscribe to the Elder Apostle Tahar's page and be edified. The title of this video, The Two Sellouts and Their Gentiles Could Be Saved Doctrine. Speaking of Deacon or Priest Taka and Brother Hassad, formerly of the Sakari, now Genesis, which we see the mess being made. We see them suddenly switching from a doctrine that they taught just a year ago, selling, books and selling, Hebrew universities, teaching these very doctrines that they're now reneging on. You have a big mess on the comment boards of people saying they want their money back. It's just crazy. But the scriptures told us that the last days will be marked by truce breakers, individuals who have wiggled themselves amongst the churches and got certain understandings, and then you look up and they act as if they came up with it and they change it, and we're seeing a big apostasy, right? Which is the abandonment of principles, and now they're even making up lies saying that the seven at the old school taught it, when we have men who were at the old school amongst us, leading us, okay? Even particular men who we don't follow, they went back to the old school. These two individuals, which this ain't them, but these are some jakes who, really, they're off at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, we're going to listen to a portion of this video because we've been asking, well, what is salvation? When you say the heathen can be saved, are you saying that the heathen are going to be beamed up, caught up into the chariot along with Israelites, changed, see Yahweh Shai face to face, and then come down from heaven, as the scriptures say, New Jerusalem is going to come down from heaven? Because we know, according to the Holy Scriptures, as a matter of fact, let's get Revelation, the 11th chapter, right? And we'll just get straight to the point. Revelation 11:11, and after 3 days and a half, 350-year period from 1619, all right, to around the 60s, where the Lord sent us the Holy Spirit. Because 1619 marked the southern kingdom being brought over here to meet up with the northern kingdom, okay? And ultimately that was the first time we had been together, as one, since the northern kingdom left the Assyrian captivity, right? But that's another lesson for another time, which we have lessons on that. But the Lord brought the bulk of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi over here on slave ships to link up with the northern kingdom, because in prophecy, all right, Judah and Israel, or Judah and Ephraim, all right, will be reunited via the word of Yahweh Shai. All right, Yahweh Shai is the only way that we, all right, can mend the breaches that, all right, have been caused by disobedience. All right, and through the word of Yahweh, through Yahweh Shai, the tribes have a ground where they can meet, and we can be united back as one. And that's Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, which Christians don't tap into that. The small hats don't tap into that. We tap into that because that's a very important aspect of prophecy. Judah and Israel, right, or Judah and Ephraim, right, southern and northern kingdom being brought back together as one, is the Heavenly Father's goal. See, and that starts with the remnant. And the Great Awakening would happen here in the Northwest Hemisphere, right? And this is what that's talking about. After 3 days and a half, all right, the spirit of life, all right, will enter into the two witnesses, basically, all right, Judah and Ephraim, right, the elect amongst them. So the spirit of life from the Heavenly Father entered into them, but we had understanding of who we were, and they stood up on their feet, and great fear fell on them which saw them. So this is the process from the 60s when, you know, the true understanding of who the Israelites are started to really get spread, all right, with the message of Yahweh Shai and not just the law or the commandments. And understanding grew, all right, as we went from glory to glory. But standing on our feet is associated with what Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, saw. All right, the prophets going out and the breath being entered into the dead body, okay, which is the Israelites in a confused state. And now standing on their feet with understanding, and great fear fell on them which saw them, our enemies. That's why all of these videos are being done against the Israelites. And then it says, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. Right? And they ascended up into heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. Okay, this right here is salvation. All right, because at this point, right, and then it says, and in the same hour there was a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. This is Babylon the Great. Zip code goes from 0 to 9. They have the 10 FEMA regions, and the earthquake was slain of men 7,000. That's ultimately the complete number of people that are going to die here in the lake of fire, Babylon the Great. Okay, and the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the God of heaven. See that? So this marks salvation when we ascend into that cloud. Okay, as it says in the book of 1 Thessalonians, the 4th chapter, you know, the Lord shall ascend with a shout. Okay, Matthew 24 and 31, right? And we'll get that, what they said. I just wanted to start with this, which, although I've done a video on this just a few days ago, I like to lead with these points. Matthew 24 and 31, and he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, all right, from one end of heaven to the other. See that? Jeremiah 16, right? Jeremiah 16 and 14, therefore, behold, the days come, said the Lord, that it shall no more be said, Yahweh liveth that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but Yahweh liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands whither I have driven them, and I will bring them again into their own land that I gave unto their fathers. See that? So the Lord is going to bring the children of Israel from the land of the north, which is here in Babylon the Great, and from all of the lands where he have driven them. So the salvation is associated with the children of Israel, right, being brought into a place of safety, the elect of the remnant of Israel, right, the elect of the nation of Israel, which the remnant is the elect, being caught up into a cloud, which is a chariot, as Habakkuk calls it, the chariot of salvation, and brought to a place where Paul calls, right, describes as us being changed. Okay, 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, okay, in the 51st verse, behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this incorruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible have put on incorruption, and this mortal have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. That's the book of Isaiah 25 and 8. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? See, so the laws will be put in our inward part. The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. So if the laws are in us, sin will not have victory over us. Death will not have victory over us. We will no longer be in bodies subject to decay, sin, all right, failure, doubt. Okay, we're gonna have the perfect bodies, and this is only for the nation of Israel. So when you say all nations can be saved, we were throwing out questions, which I see other camps are now getting on them too, and that's good. I saw the Wi-Fi although we don't agree with all of their doctrine, they're getting on them, and that's good. You see the battle axe of Yahushua, formerly guys who follow one body Yahushua, now they're battle axe. And again, we don't agree with everything that they teach, but it's good to see these guys getting on, the Genesis Israelites, because what happened is here in this particular sit down they did with these two Jakes, they asked Deacon Hakah to define salvation, and I'm glad they did that. So we're going to play that and then listen to what they say, and then get a few scriptures to basically go in to what salvation is and how the children of Israel being delivered onto the chariots and the heathen, all right, some heathen being left on the earth, all right, from the destruction, because you're going to have particular heathen that won't die in a nuclear war, that won't, be burned in fire and tortured and put to death. Some heathen are going to be alive. Okay, the scriptures support that, because when Babylon the Great is destroyed, right? Let's get Revelation 18. When Babylon the Great is destroyed is when the elect are going to be beamed up, right? But when you get Revelation 18:9, it says, "And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they see the smoke of her burning." So they're going to see it, meaning they're going to be alive. They're going to be on earth. Where will the elect be at this time? They'll be up in the chariot, standing afar off for fear of her torment, saying, "Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour," this is the land of the north, so in 1 hour has her judgment come. "And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore." So these nations, casting dust upon their head, crying at the fall of this place, all right, because Babylon fall and mess up the whole world economy. But even going down, verse 15, it says, "The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off in fear for her torment, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet, and is was decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches has come to naught, and every shipmaster and all of the company of ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning." So this lets you know that there will still be people on the planet Earth after the destruction of Babylon the Great, all right, which is synonymous with the Israelites being beamed up, all right, from Babylon the Great, and also the various different parts of the earth where we be scattered. So let's listen to this.
Nah, that don't work. You be sold out. You sold out.
Mm-hmm. So question to both of you. Give me your clean and
like I said, they both experienced an epiphany 3 a.m. They both got up out of their bed like in the movie Bamboozled. They were sleeping and they both popped up out of their bed. Yo, the Gentiles can make it. Let me call Hassad. Hassad saying, "Let me call a car." At the same time, I know what you say. I know what you're going to say before you said it. The Gentiles can make it. After they got that check.
Give me your clean understanding on what salvation is. All right. So what does it look like? What does it look like for Israelites? What does it look like for Gentiles? How does it look side by side? Israelite, Gentile. What does that salvation look like? And the reason I ask this question is because from my perspective and from what I heard, there may be some brothers and sisters who actually agree with what's being said, But the reason that
The
maybe
ones that agree are lost and they're not of the elect. And if they don't change, they're not going to make it.
disagree is because no one, at least I don't believe, I haven't heard it, has actually defined what salvation is clearly, like what it is. Like, so what does it look like in real time, real action for an Israelite and for a Gentile?
I just want to take maybe 30 seconds to just to answer this, maybe about a minute, and then you can go.
No, take all the time you need. You're like, we're not rushing. We want you to, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So a lot of us have always heard, salvation is Israel being delivered from the hands of our enemies, which would then disqualify Gentiles from being able to be a part of salvation. That's the reoccurring theme in brothers go to scriptures such as Luke 1:68 on down. But a scripture I'd like to point out is, and one before I go there, I don't deny that salvation can be Israel being delivered from his enemies. But that's not the only definition of salvation. And before, let me get a couple of scriptures to prove that. One is 1 Peter 3:20.
Okay, I didn't catch this, but this comment, they called us BHI over 10 times. And they are using that word. They're using that term, rather, BHI, that acronym. And if you notice, the leadership of the IUIC, if you're not IUIC, you're Israelite, you're a BHI. Then
you got these dudes from Genesis calling us black Hebrew Israelites. Okay, so a bag has been taken. All right, but the guy asked Deacon Hakah and Hassad, all right, or Priest Hakah, whatever, or just call him Hakah, in which Hakah Gawayam means smite the heathen. All right, and now he wants to smite him with a hug and a kiss, all right, and a piece of salvation. Here's your plate of salvation. Oh, thank you. I needed this. I love this salvation. Oh, Deacon Hakah, you don't know how happy I am to have salvation from you and Hassad. Oh. See that? That's what it's changed to. When just a year ago, this dude was slobbing at his mouth, all right, debating, selling, the prayer and, breakdowns that teach that the heathen can't be saved. But let's just keep listening because I want to hear how they define salvation for the heathen. And then as you can see, he's choosing his words carefully. Hassad just said, well, I'm not denying that's, being Israel is going to be delivered from their enemies. But the question is, will heathen get that same salvation? When y'all say the heathen can be saved, are y'all saying that the heathen will be beamed up into the ship, okay, and a part of that great feast that's going to take place in the chariot when we're brought into the second covenant by getting bodies, all right, that will not be subject to sin? Will heathen partake in that? Will heathen be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye? See that?
they're not BHIs, but we are BHIs. The illuminated ones writing them fat checks.
It's referring to Noah when he was on the ark with his family.
Oh.
And it says 8 souls were saved by water. Well, there were literally no enemies for Noah to be saved from. Everyone else died.
Everybody died, yes, because that was the Lord's determination. But let's go ahead.
So was he saved from the hands of his enemies? No, but was he given salvation? Yes. In Luke chapter 7, when the woman is anointing Christ's feet, and he said to her in Luke 7 verse 15, thy faith has saved thee. She wasn't delivered from the hands of her enemies, yet the Bible still affirms that she was saved. So what does it look like? What is
Luke 1, around about the 70 some odd verse, it says the knowledge of salvation. The knowledge of salvation meaning you're going to be delivered when that salvation thing goes into you being delivered from America being shot by missiles. Most people are mad because they use the word salvation and are too quick to judge, do not try to understand at all. I don't know what his point is.
salvation? It's simple. You being saved from the hands of your enemies, yes, that's salvation. You being delivered from your sins, that is salvation. You being delivered from God's wrath, that is salvation. It depends on the context. Now, what it looks like for Israelites and Gentiles, look at the very first time salvation ever occurs. in the Bible with the nation of Israel. And the very first time you're going to read it is in Exodus chapter 14, verse 13, when Moses parts the Red Sea. And he says to the people, stand back and see the salvation of the Lord your God today. And of course, then the Israelites walk through the Red Sea. Well, wait a minute. The mixed multitude walks through the Red Sea as well.
Right. The mixed multitude came out of, we dealt with this before. A mixed multitude came out as well, but were they entered into the covenant?
So that means if the mixed multitude got saved, that means they're going to get saved again. These dudes sold out. I'm ready to close this, man. I'm ready to close this.
They sold out because they're using semantics because, just like there's going to be a mixed multitude. Okay, when we're beamed up into the chariot, there's going to be a mixed multitude of heathen on the earth. There's going to be even some Israelites left on earth that we're going to have to purge out. You see that? And again, when it came time to enter us into a covenant, right? What heathen affirmed their covenant with the Lord? What heathen was brought up under the first covenant? In Exodus, the 24th chapter. Exodus 24:8, Exodus 24:6, and Moses took half the blood and put it in basins and half of the blood and sprinkled it on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant and read it in the audience of the people. And they said, all that Yahweh have said we will do and be obedient. Who said this? The Israelites. This is speaking of Israelites. Okay, no heathen was brought up under this term and made the wife of the Most High via a covenant. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which the Lord made with you concerning all these words. All right, were there heathen on the earth? Were there heathen around? Yeah, but were heathen brought into that covenant? No, they weren't. Okay, were there laws given unto us on how to deal with them? Yes. But they were not brought under the bond of the covenant. All right. And see, they're not really mentioning the chariots. Because again, let's get Habakkuk, the 8th chapter, right? Habakkuk 3, Salakia, 3 and 8. Habakkuk 3, right? And 8, as he's getting the vision of end time prophecy of the Lord returning. Habakkuk 3 and 8, was the Lord displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against the rivers? Was thy wrath against the sea, that thou didst ride upon thine horses and thy chariots of salvation? So the question is, will a heathen get on the chariot of salvation? See, they're playing semantics because, yes, a large multitude did come out of Egypt with the Israelites. We've done videos on that. But were they brought into the new covenant? I mean, the first covenant? No. Okay. Was the blood the tied to them? No. All right. But you had particular Israelites who had servants. Okay. Particular trade deals or whatever with the particular Egyptians. Those Egyptians, okay, and mixed multitude of heathen did walk out of Egypt, all right, with the Israelites. Okay. But what was their purpose? What was their role? Were they brought into the covenant? No. You see? And again, we just read Jeremiah 16. Okay? Where the new deliverance is synonymous with the Lord delivering the children of Israel from the land of the north and from the various different captivities where we're scattered.
And anybody that follow these guys, you follow them guys and be destroyed with them guys as well.
By proxy and by definition, they received salvation with us.
Hey, vocab and these Christians.
No, they didn't. Okay, they were preserved because here it is in the kingdom of heaven, and they're playing semantics. See if he plays a little bit more. Let's go there. Let's go here.
I listened to a little bit more because I'm getting tired of this. They have 3 hours.
But then when we got into the wilderness, they became the hewers of our wood and the jars of our water. So they're going to get saved from God's wrath, but that doesn't mean that they will be on the same level as us. Go ahead, though.
Right, so they won't. Oh my God.
Be beamed up in the ship, Then when they land down, we're going to say, okay, you Edomites, I want you to get his axes, chop all them trees down. We're going to build some tents over there. Get to it, boy. Esau can say, at least I was saved. I'm not in hell, burning in hell like the other Israelites, pursuant to IUIC, that the Israelites are going to burn in hell. But Edomites and other nations are not going to burn in hell because they got to play the part that I would rather be an Edomite. Let me be an Edomite.
Right.
At least I ain't going to burn in hell forever. You see what's
right. Israelites burn in hell forever, but heathen get to be our slaves and learn the law.
happening. You see how the Most High is exposing all these old fake camps, these fake phony camps out there. And remember, these major camps still teach to this day. The MOTB is not the micro C hit. What are they going to say to their congregation? And hopefully their congregation is not in the deep or super deep of the Messiah that binds Israel to the covenant.
Saved from the wrath of God. So what happened?
Right, in the New Testament. In the New Testament, yeah.
Israelites are saved from the wrath of God. That's salvation. After their salvation,
You notice they're not bringing up the chariots anymore.
they enter into the bond of the new covenant. They get the land promises. They get glorified bodies. They get the priesthood. They get the rulership. They get captives. They get servants. These are rewards and statuses after salvation. So the problem is that both schools of thought, Christians and Israelites alike, are conflating what you get your rewards after salvation with salvation. So like Asad said, it's being saved from the wrath of God, and then after that, the Israelites are placed on as the hegemony of the world.
So Edomites and other nations are going to make it, but they're going to go on the, they're going to make it. They're going to get in the ship. They're going to get a ride in the chariot. They're going to be excited about it. Then when we land down, we're going to put a sword to their neck. Okay, start working, Edomites.
On a higher status. And the Gentiles that believe and cleave and join to the Israelites and keep the law, statutes, and commandments, they get to escape the
Which they're not, first of all, it wasn't given. It was never given to them, man. It was never given to them.
So yeah, they're still talking about the lake of fire, some river over there by the land of Edom. Those dudes are just through and causing confusion, and they're doing it on purpose. All right, because technically, we know that we're going to be delivered onto the ships. No heathen will take part in that. Okay, because let's get this real quick in the book of Zechariah, which pretty much goes into the great fire that's coming. Okay, the tongues coming out of their mouths. Okay, let's see here. Like Zechariah 14 and 12, and this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all of the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand on their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. Okay? And it shall come to pass on that day, the great tumult from the Lord shall be among them, and they shall lay hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and shall arise up against the hand of his neighbor. Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the heathen round about shall be gathered. So these heathen are going to be put into subjection, after that great fire is engulfs Babylon the Great, and eventually we come back down to the earth. All right. But the point is this, okay, in Zechariah 14 and 16, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all of the nations, see, they're going to be left. Okay, they're going to be left. They're going to be on earth. None of them will partake of the salvation which comes with being beamed up on the chariot. That's when the elect, will be brought into the new covenant. All right. Now, when we come back down onto the earth, all right, there's going to be Israelites still on the earth too. Some of them we will judge, and some of them we may, we'll have mercy on. We'll deal with that when we get there. Okay, but the heathen, okay, are going to be subjected to captivity. Okay, just like at the time of King Solomon, as we'll show you. But it says that everyone that is left, all right, out of all the nations which came up against Jerusalem, because again, getting beamed up, as a matter of fact, let's get this in the book of 2nd Esdras, the 13th chapter and the 35th verse. Okay. Because it's going to be a great war. It's going to be great fire on the earth. Let's see. Let's see if we get it in the NLT. Let's see here. Second Esdras chapter 13 and 29. The time is near when the Most High will begin to free the people on the earth, the elect. And at that time, everyone will be close to panic. It's going to be all chaos on the earth. They will begin to make war against one another, city against city, region against region, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. World War III. Okay? When that happens, the signs I told you about earlier will take place. Then will I reveal my son. All right? His son is going to come during World War III. All right? While these nations are shooting missiles on Babylon the Great. That's when he's going to reveal his son, whom you saw as a man coming out of the sea. All right? The water, the Shemayim, the sea. It says, when they hear his voice, all nations will leave their own territory and forget their wars with one another, and shall come together with one great crowd too large to count, as you saw in your dream. The nations will unite with the single purpose of making war on my son. So these nations are going to fight against Yahushua. He will take his stand up on the top of Mount Zion, that chariot that we're going to be beamed up to, and New Jerusalem will be seen by everyone. It will be completed and fully built as you saw in your dream. All right, the mountain carved out, but not by human hands. Then my son will condemn the assembled nations for their godlessness, so that all of their armies are going to be just put down and destroyed. But again, when it says the whole world, okay, and the New Jerusalem will be seen by everyone. New Jerusalem is, all right, the elect of the nation of Israel being beamed up into the chariot, because as is written in Revelation 21, right, we're eventually going to come down. All right, Revelation 21 and 2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. See? And as New Jerusalem is described, okay, that holy city, New Jerusalem, okay, it talks about the names of the apostles of the Lamb, the 12 disciples, okay, and then as you keep reading, let's see here, Revelation 21 and 17, he measured the wall there of 144 cubits, according to the measure of the man, that is, of the angel. So again, even when you go to Revelation, the 14th chapter, Revelation 14 and 1, and I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their forehead. See that? So Yahushua and the 144,000, as well as a large multitude that's going to be gathered, but the governing body is going to be Yahushua and the 144,000. Okay? And all of the nations are going to see us get beamed up into that ship. See? But as is written in Revelation 21, New Jerusalem is eventually going to come down. Okay? And ultimately, that's when we set up the government. And there's going to be nations on the earth. There's going to be people on the earth still in certain parts. We know Babylon is going to be completely destroyed. We know there's going to be certain parts of the world in chaos. We know the land of Jerusalem, I mean, the Holy Land, not just Jerusalem. The Holy Land itself is going to be, all right, destroyed. But that's going to be rebuilt. But as we read here, Zechariah 14 and 16, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is left, let's look up the word left. Okay, after that great destruction and all of that chaos, there's going to be people left. The word left, yathar, to be left over, to remain. See that? They're going to be preserved alive. Okay? They're going to be preserved alive. Okay? So everyone that is left of all of the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from 1 year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all of the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, because the scriptures give you the understanding that once we're established, Let's get Tobit as an example. Yeah, this website changed. As a matter of fact, let's just type in Tobit 13. Goodness gracious, man. Tobit the 13th. I guess you got to type in chapter now. Tobit chapter 13, verse 11. As a matter of fact, start at 10. Give praise unto the Lord, for he is good, and praised the everlasting King, that his tabernacle may be built in thee again with joy. And that's going to be the elect this time. It's not going to be an earthly tabernacle or an earthly, temple. It's going to be his people, right? He's going to dwell in them fully. Okay. And let him make make joyful there in the house. Let's start over. Give praise unto the Lord, for he is good, and praise the everlasting King, that his tabernacle may be built in thee again with joy, and let him make joyful there in thee those that are captives, the elect. We're going to be brought out of captivity, and love in thee forever those that are miserable. See, we're going to be blessed, brought out of our captivities. Many nations shall come from far to the name of the Lord with gifts in their hands, even gifts to the King of heaven. All generations shall praise thee with great joy, because the goal is that every knee shall bow. See, cursed are they that hate thee, and blessed are they which love thee forever. See, rejoice and be glad for the children of the just, for they shall be gathered together and shall bless the Lord of the just. Okay? Oh, blessed are they which love thee. So that, yeah, when we get into the kingdom, when the nations do good, bless us, and do what they're supposed to do, they will be blessed. But as we read here, well, let's keep reading there. Tobit 13. Blessed are they which love thee, for they shall rejoice in thy peace. Blessed are they which have been sorrowful for all their scourges, for they shall rejoice for thee when they have seen all thy glory, and shall be glad forever. So yes, the heathen, all right, which won't partake in our salvation, but will be left. Okay, they're going to have to bow, all right, to the Israelites, man, to the government, to the throne of David. Okay, and they will receive blessings when they bless us. All right, but also, all right, they're going to still be in the flesh. See that? They're going to be in the flesh. And again, they won't partake in being changed. All right, but there will come a day where they, as the scriptures say, they're going to acknowledge. Let's get that. So really, these dudes are just causing confusion for no reason. Okay, because it's like, what are you doing? What are you saying? This is the book of Isaiah 61:9, and their seed shall be known among the Gentiles, and their offspring among the people. All that see them shall acknowledge them, that they are the seed which Yahweh have blessed. So the heathen are going to acknowledge you. Y'all are those people. The book even tells you in the book of Micah, the 4th chapter, right, that once we're established, it says in verse 2, and many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord and to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths, for the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. See that? So they're going to want to learn the ways at some point. Okay, but the topic of being beamed up into the chariot and changed and having a new body, not subject to death, because the scriptures tell you flesh and blood can't inherit the kingdom of heaven. So can't no heathen go up there in a regular normal body and then come back down in a regular normal body? No. The only people that are going to go in that chariot are the elect of the nation of Israel, man, the remnant. Okay, but again, we're reading here, after that great war, after everything that happens, okay, Zechariah 14:16 says, it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from 1 year to year, worshiping the King, the Lord of hosts, and shall keep the Feast of Tabernacles, right? That we're going to have the new Passover. They're going to have to celebrate all of these things. And it shall be that whoso will not go up of all the families of the earth to Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. So it also gives you the notion that they will be still subject to going off. And if the family of Egypt come not up, that have no rain, there shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles, showing you that they won't be in the new covenant, because pursuant to Hebrews, the 8th chapter, okay, Hebrews 8 and 10, for this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws in their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be unto them a God, and they shall be unto me a people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for all shall know me from least to the greatest. So we're not going to have to teach or tell Israelites to come keep the Feast of Tabernacle, but the heathen will have to be reminded. And if they don't, right, they don't send, their delegates and, the leaders to come bring their gifts, they will be, they're going to be cursed. Okay, this shall be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all the nations that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This is how it's going to be in the kingdom of heaven. All of the heathen will be subjected to this. Okay, now again, as I said, like Rahab the harlot, Ruth and certain heathen, all right, will be living better than their other people, but their whole nation will be subdued and brought under the order of the Israelites. But yeah, if we want to deal fairly and have favor on certain of our possession, because the heathen is our inheritance. Remember, Yahweh Shai was promised the heathen. Let's get that in the book of in the book of Psalms, 2nd chapter. It tells you everything that was promised to Yahweh Shai. Okay. Psalms 2 and 8. I start at 7. I will declare the decree Yahweh have given unto me. Thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them to pieces like a potter's vessel. So the Lord is going to share this with us. Okay, he's going to share the heathen and the earth and the heathen in it, which is his inheritance. They belong to him with his people. Right? Revelation 2 and 26. To him that overcometh and keepeth my works into the end, to him will I give power over the nations, and he shall rule them with the rod of iron. Right? And as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken into shivers, even as I have received of my Father. So no heathen will be in this position of rulership. Okay, the dominion, kingship, priesthood will all be for the Israelites. Okay, that is salvation, ultimately being brought into the new covenant, man. But yes, there will be heathen left on the earth. All right, even in Revelation 6, right? Revelation, the 6th chapter, after that great earthquake, Revelation 6 and 14, and heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. Again, let's get Jeremiah 50. Right? Jeremiah 50. Right? And 46. At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved, and a cry is heard among the nations. So it's going to be a great earthquake, right? Let's get Isaiah, the 24th chapter, right? And 19, the earth is utterly broken down, the earth is clean dissolved, the earth is moved exceedingly. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it. Okay? And it shall fall and not rise again. This kingdom, this rulership. So the earth is going to reel to and fro at the fall of Babylon the Great. Okay? And that's what this is talking about here in Revelation 6 and 14. And heaven departed as a scroll, all right, when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is coming, who shall be able to stand? So, as you can see, particular heathen, particular bondmen, they're going to go into the bunkers. Starts with the elites, but they're going to have their slaves. So they're all going to go into the bunkers. See that? So they're going to be preserved. Okay, this is not salvation. Okay? The scriptures tell you that, after that destruction, right? Revelation 9:20, and the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils, idols of gold, silver, brass, stone, wood, which can neither see nor walk nor hear. These elite technocrats that have the money, all right, to go into the bunkers with their servants and the different chiefs and captains. The Lord is going to preserve them. All right. And he's going to preserve particular, just regular everyday people, wherever they may be. Okay. Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts. So the plague of destruction ain't going to kill everybody on the planet Earth. And there will be heathen left, just like at the time of King Solomon, right? In 1 Kings 9. Let's get it in the NLT real quick. We'll get a few more and close it out. Just wanted to navigate through the scriptures. 1 Kings 9, all right, and 20. There were still some people living in the land, okay, who were not Israelites, including the Amorites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. These were descendants of the nations whom the people of Israel had not completely destroyed, because King David and his mighty men, which were Israelites, okay, took down the heathen nations. They subdued them. So Solomon conscripted them to his labor force, and they serve in his labor force unto this day. But Solomon did not conscript any of the Israelites for forced labor. Instead, he assigned them to serve as fighting men, government officials, officers, and captains in his army, commanders of his chariots and charioteers. So he put his people on, right? He put his people on, right? But he put the heathen that were left round about to work. Okay? Solomon appointed 550 of them to supervise the people working on his various projects. So Solomon had things going on. Solomon moved his wife, Pharaoh's daughter, from the city of David to the new palace he had built for her. So he had concubines of the heathen. Okay, but where Solomon went wrong, okay, is that he bowed to the idols of these heathen. He didn't take their gods away as David did. So that's where he eventually went wrong. But when we're in new bodies, we won't have these problems. So again, yes, there will be heathen left. There will be heathen, preserved. That's, if you want to say they were saved from the destruction, okay. But when you deal with salvation, all right, Psalms 14:7, oh, that the salvation of Israel will come out of Zion. When the Lord bringeth back the captivity of his people, Jacob shall rejoice and Israel shall be glad. No heathen will partake in that, being brought into the covenant, going into the chariot, man. And this is something that you hear these sellouts leaving out of the narrative, the chariot and, being changed. They ain't talking about that for some reason. They're just putting that term salvation. Then they're going to Egypt and there was a large multitude. The way we're going to be brought out of this new Egypt surpasses, just anything that happened before. See, we're going to be caught up into the cloud, changed, receive new bodies. And see, what we're telling you is that no heathen will partake in that. None. Okay? And when we come down off of those chariots, okay, Isaiah 24:21, it shall come to pass that the Lord shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth, and they shall be gathered together as prisoners, or gathered in the pit, and they shall be shut up in prison, and after many days they shall be visited. See? Then the moon shall be confounded, and the sun ashamed, meaning their wisdom. Okay, everything's going to change from that point on when New Jerusalem come down. I mean, at the destruction of Babylon itself. Okay, but the whole earth is going to change, man. Psalms 93, 98, and 3 here, remembered his mercy and his truth toward the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of our power. So they're going to see it. They're going to see us be beamed up. They're going to see, all right, the return of Yahweh Shai. Okay, they're going to see, all right, as the scriptures say in Revelation, the first chapter, all right, Revelation 1 and 7. Look, he comes in the clouds of heaven, right, the chariots of salvation. Everyone will see him, even those who pierced him, and all the nations of the earth, all right, will mourn for him. Yes, Aman. Okay, that's in the NLT. It's the same thing. See that? So the whole world is going to see the salvation of the Israelites, man. Okay? And, a lot will die, but some will be left. That's not salvation, man. And even once we set up the kingdom of heaven and, we use the heathen for our purposes, because just like the rulership that is in rulership now are using your ass to build up their kingdom and work for them, we're going to do the same thing, but it's going to be unjust. It's going to be righteousness, man. It's not going to be, all right, this, the place of oppression, which they're going to be oppressed. Don't get it twisted. They're going to be judged, but it's going to be a system rooted in justice, righteousness. All right. But as we see here in New Jerusalem, 2nd Esdras 13 and 36 in the GNT, and New Jerusalem will be seen by everyone. It will be completed and fully built, just as you saw in your dream. See, and his son is going to condemn these assembled nations that are going to fight against him. But yes, there will be heathen left on the earth. There will be even other Israelites left on the earth. Okay. But again, that is not salvation in a sense that they're beamed up into the chariot, changed, and seeing Yahweh Shai face to face, getting crowned, as it talks about in 2nd Esdras, the 2nd chapter. Right? See if I can type. Damn. Some bullshit. 2nd Esdras chapter 2, and when you go down here, right? 2nd Esdras 2 and 42, 41. The number of thy children whom thou longest for is fulfilled. Beseech the power of the Lord, that thy people, which have been called from the beginning, may be hallowed. I, Esdras, saw upon the Mount Zion a great people whom I could not number, and they praised the Lord with songs. Okay? Mount Zion, Israel, man. The chariot, elect. Okay? And in the midst of them, there was a young man of high stature, taller than the rest, and upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled greatly. Okay? So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? And he answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing, and have put on the immortal, that's the new body, and have confessed the name of the Most High, all right, and now are crowned and receive palms in their hands. Then I said unto the angel, What young persons in this that crowneth them, and giveth them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, It is the Son of the Most High, whom they have confessed in the world. Then I began to greatly commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord. See that? So will heathen be a part of this? As you can see, whoever paid these individuals off to teach this, they're trying to avoid the chariot. They're trying to avoid, the being crowned and all of these things that we're reading about, so that they can appease whoever they're appeasing to. But it ain't gonna work. And ultimately, at the end of the day, these guys are pushing confusion, and they're all over the place, man. All right. See, when you lie, you got to keep stuff out. You got to deceive. You got to be the devil. See, but hey, just tell the truth, man. All right. That's what we go continue doing, defending the gospel and putting these lessons up. Hopefully, I'll edify. Shalom.